Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gillian Berry, and today we have an awesome video in store for you guys. We have Matt Bennett. He is a 10 plus year raw vegan. That's right, he has only eaten raw foods for 10 years. So we're going to talk to him about his long-term experience. Is he thriving? Is he deteriorating? We will find out. You guys are going to want to stick around to the end. And I do know that when Matt first started raw veganism, he did heal a lot of problems he was facing, such as eczema, depression, anxiety, feelings of unworthiness, and things like that. So I'm so excited to talk to him. Let's get right into it. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Hey, Gillian, thanks so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on. So you can be found on the Raw Intuition YouTube channel, and I will link it down below. And I would love to hear about your journey into Raw. How did you get started and what happened? What led you there?
Yeah, good question. So, like you said, it's actually been pretty close to 11 years now. I started back in really April of 2011, and it was kind of like a 1 year transition period. So, the actual raw date is kind of blurry for me, but it's somewhere between 10 and 11 years. So like most people, I grew up standard American diet and lifestyle, a lot of processed foods, a lot of animal products, and pizza and all those sorts of things. And really, as a kid, I like you said, I grew up with eczema, asthma, just like really dry, like skin that would like crack and bleed. So it was like, I was dealing with those things. As I got into my like teenage years, I started to deal with some more critical thinking, like self-critical thinking, toxic thinking patterns, and just depression and things like this. Um, and so really the thing that really pushed me mostly, there's a lot of different things that kind of led me to where I am today, but hair loss was like the biggest thing. Like when I was 16 or 17 years old, started seeing a little more hair coming off on my comb when I get, ready in the morning. And so that really freaked me out. I just got super worried about it. That was like the last thing I ever wanted to happen, was to lose my hair. Because I actually really liked my hair and styling it and things. So I was like, no. So I jumped on the internet, back in the early days of the internet. And it was like the dial up, you had to wait for everybody to get off the phone. And so, yeah, I just started looking up different foods that would help with stopping hair loss or reversing hair loss. And, you know, even before this point, my mom did always instill in us that, you are what you eat. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was like a thing that I just kind of understood, that the foods that we put into our body does have an effect on our health, and just kind of how our body performs. And so yeah, I jumped on the internet, just started looking for different foods that would help with hair loss. And of course it was like all the mainstream websites that were talking about more fish, beef, eggs, milk, these high animal protein foods. And I was already eating a lot of these foods, obviously, but I just figured I would eat more, and hopefully that
Mm-hmm.
would help. So, but in addition to the animal foods, it also did mention spinach was like the common leafy green in like all of these websites, because spinach is a high protein green. So they mentioned the spinach as well. So I really took to that and started making big spinach salads. Had a lot of chicken and cheese and ranch dressing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I just got into the habit of making big salads and eating, some more vegetables and things like that. And so I think that was probably the best thing from that experience, that really showed me, and I did feel better eating more, salads and things. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got in the habit of making my own food. My college roommates would call me Mr. Healthy, making fun of me for always wanting to make my own food at home. And yeah, so obviously the hair loss thing didn't pan out for me, but I through this lifestyle, I'll tell you, the toxic thinking and the just the self-critical superficial things really melted away, and it
Mhm.
really gave me the confidence and just that self-esteem that would, get me through that. And now, it doesn't bother me at all. But going back to, probably about 24, I really started to kind of get more into, health, holistic health. And when I was about 25 years old, I came across a radio program. Natural News Radio was the radio program. And they were talking about juice fasting. And so they were talking about all the benefits of juicing. And of course, I was still looking for solutions to help my hair. And so I just decided, you know what, that little bit of intuition I had left in me, it was like, you got to go after this juicing thing. So, and coincidentally, my brother had just recently given me a juicer that he hadn't been using. It was just one of those Jack LaLanne centrifugal juicers. And so I just went to the grocery store, got all the fruits and vegetables I could find, threw them in my juicer, and I planned on going like 2 or 3 days. But I felt so good after the third, on like Sunday, because I was going to go like the weekend, that I just kept going. And, day 3, day 4, day 5, I was still feeling really good. I was losing a lot of weight, but my energy and my sleep were so much better. And
Mhm.
so I ended up going 10 days on just juice. And that really opened my eyes to the fact that I hadn't been eating animal protein. I hadn't been eating all the other things and doing the things that, I was led to believe you needed to do to feel your best and be healthy. And so that just, again, it really just inspired me to look more into, plant-based foods and the benefits of plants. And I came across Dan McDonald and Dr. Robert Morse and John Kohler. And those guys were really kind of my first inspiration into this lifestyle. And they really gave me just the foundational information I
Mhm.
needed to start this lifestyle in a healthy way. And so, yeah, I mean, from there on, I just continued to add more raw food into my diets. And I continued to feel better and better. My energy, my sleep, my thoughts, my relationships, everything was getting better. And yeah, so now it's been, pretty much 11 years now. And
Wow.
yeah, I just still feeling great and still loving sharing this lifestyle.
That's amazing. So that was 2011. So you transitioned in a gradual way then it sounds like, right? You didn't go cold turkey and you feel like that works the best for you?
Yeah, that's what I did. It really took, somewhere around a year, I would say. I wasn't really getting into this lifestyle to like share it in the future. So I didn't keep meticulous like track of everything.
Mhm.
So it was like probably 8 to 12 months or something like that, of a transition where I really just started out after that juice fast. I started just eating fruit for breakfast. And then I didn't really change a whole lot else. And then I got used to that. And I really
Mhm.
liked eating fruit for breakfast, how hydrating and just energizing that was. And then I just started I would have my fruit for breakfast, then I would have salad for lunch. And so
Mhm.
I would do that for a while. Once I really got accustomed to that and it was just like second nature, then I started having another salad, like a side salad with my cooked dinner at night. So I'd have fruit, salad, normal dinner with another salad on the side. And then eventually just that side salad continued to get bigger and bigger. I started having more fruit for lunch instead of salads.
Mhm.
And that's really just kind of how it organically progressed and turned into, essentially I'm not fully raw all the time, so it
Mhm.
really depends on access to quality fruits and what seasons it is and things like that. But I've maintained about, I don't know, 90, 95+% raw, for
Yeah.
the last 11 years, and it's been working really well. So
That's amazing. And when you transitioned, like, did you feel amazing just like the whole time through the transition? Or I know some people like they experience some negative symptoms and then they're like, is this not working? Is this detox? What is this? So, how was your experience with the transition? And how was your experience with cravings? Like, was cravings just not a big deal for you? Or did it take a couple years to get over the cravings? Do you have any advice for anybody on how to deal with that?
yeah, really good question. So my transition, um, I was really into the detox and really cleaning out my body. So I was doing a lot of juice fasting. intermittently here and there. And I would be doing like, 10 days on just grapes or like 10 days on
Mhm.
watermelon, so I was really getting into just trying to clean out my body from so much, so many years of
Mhm.
abuse. And so I did go through, a couple different little detox phases where it was pretty uncomfortable. Besides like here and there, like headaches or some things that would come and go. But the most intense time that I had was probably, several months into my transition. I went out to a restaurant with a friend for her birthday party, and they had like nothing on the menu that I was, really gonna eat. But
Mhm.
I was trying to, be, trying not to be the outcast there and just have, just sit there with water. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try these fried green beans because I figured green beans, right? It's a
Yeah.
plant food. But so I literally had like 4 or 5 of these fried green beans. Went home that night, kind of, my stomach was kind of gurgling a little. Didn't think much of it. Went to bed. Woke up middle of the night, and I was, without getting too graphic, I ran to the bathroom. Literally, I was evacuating out of like every hole
Mhm.
for like a week straight. I
Wow.
literally, I could not leave the bathroom. And yeah, it was pretty intense. Again, I lost a ton of weight from that because I was just eliminating pretty much all day. And it was yeah, it was a little, kind of scary, but I really trusted in my body that it knew what it was doing. So
Mhm.
I wrote it out and it worked out just fine. And yeah, for cravings, I, I that's one thing that I'm not the best at relating with people because my craving, I just never really experienced cravings too much. Going through that period or even, throughout my this entire last 10, 11 years.
Mhm.
Um, I will say that when I do tend to get cravings, it's usually when I haven't eaten enough. Um, the thing that I personally do or have done is just eat some juicy fruit. That's been
Mhm.
like my best way to get rid of cravings is to just eat like, even if I don't want, even if I'm thinking like I don't really want this orange or I don't want this mango right now, I'll just eat like a couple mangoes or a couple apples or a couple oranges. And that really takes care of it for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I think really just, cravings are, in my opinion, a lot of them are emotional.
Mhm.
And we're pretty much conditioned growing up, every time we have like an elevated emotional state, like
Mhm.
a birthday or a sports game or some event, something
Mhm.
where there's a lot of emotion and excitement. And then we always have these junk foods at these events, right? So we have cake at birthday
Mhm.
parties and pizza and chips and all these things at sporting events. So, we kind of condition the mind that when we get, in some sort of a elevated emotional state, we're just conditioned that these foods are what we should have at this time. And so I think reconditioning the mind to associate elevated levels, like just, as we become adults, there's a lot of stressors that we run into. And that can, that
Mhm.
obviously elevates our emotional state. And so that kind of replicates as a child, birthday parties, other things like that where we're excited. That's what I think triggers us into wanting these junk foods
Mhm.
when we're stressed. And so, yeah, just reconditioning the mind, really just start eating healthy foods every time you get stressed or, unless you're not hungry. But, just anytime you have a craving, just first have a couple pieces of juicy fruit or whatever fruit or vegetable you have available to you. And over time, that's going to hopefully recondition your microbiome as well as recondition your brain to associate healthy foods with those times of stress or whatever else that it is. So that's really my approach to cravings is to one, get all the junk food out of your house as well. You don't want to have that
Mhm.
stuff anything that you wouldn't want to eat, don't have it in your house. Avoid hyper-stimulating foods like salt, sugar, and oil, because
Mhm.
those are gonna, condition the taste buds. And so, yeah, from those basic things, then work on your mindset and
Mhm.
recondition your mind to associate healthy foods with those times.
Yeah, absolutely. Great points. Great advice. So I'm wondering too, so you've been raw for such a long term now, right? Like 11 years is a long time, which is amazing. So I'm wondering, do you feel like you've made any mistakes in that time period and you could give some advice to people to maybe avoid some of the mistakes that you've made along the way?
Yeah. So I think the biggest mistakes that I probably initially made, I will say, again, I got off on a pretty good foot, with Dan McDonald, John Kohler, and Dr. Morse. They really instilled in me that understanding of whole foods, stay away from a lot of those vegan junk foods and things like
Mhm.
that. Eat a lot of, leafy greens and fruits. Um, so that was kind of my initial beginnings. So I didn't make a lot of the mistakes that I see other people making, but I did, if I were going to say I made some mistakes, definitely I wasn't eating enough in the beginning. And
Mhm.
two, I was eating too much fat.
Mhm.
So I was eating, I could literally, it's funny how our bodies adjust, right? I'm sure you probably
Mhm.
experienced this as well. Like in the first, when we first got into this lifestyle, like I could eat like 5 or 6 avocados and I would be good. Like
Me
that would,
too. Yeah.
yeah, that would like satisfy me. Now if I ate 5 or 6 avocados, it would probably not go well for me.
Me too. I would be passed out. Like I ate
Yeah,
so many walnuts when I first transitioned and I felt
yeah,
amazing. I would eat like a lot of walnuts every day as my snack. And I
yeah,
was just like vibing so high, so much energy. But now if I eat a lot of fats, maybe because I'm not used to eating a lot of fats now, I'd just be like passed right out.
right, right. Same
Yeah.
here. Yep. I would eat like, yeah, almonds and walnuts. I ate a lot of almonds and walnuts in the beginning,
Hmm.
um, and avocado. So yeah, those would be the two things that I really probably would, you know, say that I was kind of caught up in the beginning. Um, but for other people, I see a lot of people still eating a lot of those hyper stimulating foods. Like the
Yeah.
raw
So I was gonna
dessert.
ask you. So like I still have a little bit of cold pressed olive oil in like this soaked chickpea salad I make, and
Sure.
sometimes sea salt. So you think that salts and oils really mess with us and they're really unhealthy?
Well, I would say, you eat an extremely healthy diet.
Hmm.
For somebody like you, and if you've been doing it and it's working fine for you, I
Hmm.
wouldn't say that you need to change that. But for somebody that is really, kind of just trying to learn the ropes of eating this way, and whether they're trying to lose weight or something like that, salt salt makes us want to eat more of whatever we're eating usually, right? So, and
Hmm.
then
True.
oil just adds extra empty calories.
Yeah.
um
And it's not
so but
totally natural, right? I mean, it's the best to eat as
right,
natural as possible, and the oil is not natural.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, personally, I don't think a little bit of oil or a little bit of salt is gonna really be an issue for most people, especially when they're eating a diet like we eat.
Mhm.
But it really just depends on the person, because some people, once they start adding a little bit of salt here, they're adding it everywhere, right? They add a little bit
Mhm.
here and there, and it just becomes a lot of salt.
Mhm.
And same with oil. People just kind of really, and I used to do this too. In the very beginning, I used to use a lot of olive oil.
Mhm.
But then I just kind of got away from it, and I realized I didn't need it. And yeah, but again, it's going to depend on each person, and I
Mhm.
think a little bit, not a big deal probably, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, okay, so 11 years in, like, how do you feel? Like, how is your energy and how do you feel? I know a lot of people might think maybe who aren't raw vegan, or whatever their diet, they might think, whoa, you must be like weak or tired. Like, how's your energy and how do you feel on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so it's night and day, honestly. How I was before eating this way, I was always fatigued. It's funny, I would always get like a red face, and my circulation wasn't that great.
Wow.
And so now it's like, yeah, I mean, my sleep also wasn't so great, which could have contributed to my energy levels as well. But it's all tied in together. And so I my energy, I wake up, I rested, most days, and my energy is great. I have enough energy to work out every day if I want.
Mhm.
Do everything that I need to do. I love to go hiking and get outside in nature and do all these things. Um, and yeah, I have no issues with energy levels.
Mhm.
They're terrific. um my mindset, it's like, and I think mindset is a big factor in our energy levels, depending on how we kind of view the world, whether we view ourselves as a victim and
Mhm.
things are happening to us. It's easy to kind of get a little more depressed, and when we get in that kind of a mindset, we just don't really want to do much. But when we take the viewpoint of a creator of our life, and really
Mhm.
the determining factor in really how our life is shaped, um, I think that invigorates us and inspires us to follow our dreams and to follow our passions. And I think finding a passion is so important, and that's
Mhm.
one thing that this lifestyle has done for me. It's really inspired me to help other people, and just be an example for others. To diet, it's amazing. People kind of understand that diet is important, but they don't really, until you feel what we have felt,
Mhm.
with this lifestyle. It's so hard to explain it in words
It
on how,
is.
yeah, how
Mhm.
much of a difference it can make in your life, and
Mhm.
in just every aspect. And so, yeah, I think improving the diet to improve your mindset, and in turn that's going to improve your sleep and your energy levels. And just everything gets better. And I mean, from my experience anyways, it's everything has elevated to a better level.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. It's been the same experience for myself as well. And I want to say, so you talk a lot, I know, about spirituality and how this has changed things for you in spiritual ways. So I'd love to hear you expand on that for my audience. I know they love to hear about that, and so would I.
Yeah. Oh man. I was like the least spiritual person before I got into this lifestyle. And it's so, I mean, it's hard to even understand how it happens this way. But once I started getting in more natural, whole, especially fruits, I think fruits are like the
Mhm.
most spiritually connecting food that we can consume. They're just like the highest vibration. They connect us with they incite all of our senses like perfectly.
Mhm.
um and so it's just like an open invitation from God or from nature to bring in more of that essence, and it really just gets us on that frequency of true, truth and love and nature and God, and all of that. So yeah, as I kind of got into this, like I said, I was really toxic in my thinking, really self-critical. All these things that I was just like, I would always hold myself back from doing things I wanted to do. And so once I started kind of getting in that frequency of
Mhm.
love and everything, it's just like all of those feelings of self-critical, not completely, but a
Mhm.
very large part of that sort of mindset just melted away. I was so inspired to create, get back into creation, like art and music and
And that's
writing
what
and
we're here
things.
for, I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So yeah, I think that people think that you have to go to church or do these other things in order to be spiritual or to have a relationship with God. I think it's really just about connecting with yourself. I think intuition is really like God's voice to us, internally. And so I really think that getting tapped into our intuition, which is what this lifestyle has done for me, hence the name Raw Intuition.
Mhm.
um, it really it just seeps into all aspects of our life that connects us with ourself and with God and with nature. um, and it just inspires us to have that childlike essence again, and to
Mhm.
start to look at what we're passionate about and to create things and do those sorts of things. Whereas adults, we kind of are conditioned out of that. It's
Mhm.
like you gotta be serious. You gotta just go to work, pay the bills. But once you kind of get that back and you start to feel that joy again, it's really incredible. And yeah, so now it's just like I feel so much more connected with my environments. Like going out into nature is like one of my all-time favorite things to do. Just go like walk around in the woods. Um,
Mhm.
and really, if I can bring a watermelon with me, that's even better. So yeah, I mean, my connection with myself and with my intuition, with God and with nature, it's so much better now than it ever has been my entire life. And I think that again is just like such a great piece of the puzzle when it comes to overall health, is to have that connection. I think
Mhm.
if people lack that connection, I think it just leaves kind of a gap in their holistic health picture.
Yeah, I agree. I had the same connection and I didn't even know about that connection before being raw, you know? I was like, and
Me
then it
too.
totally came. And then over the past 6 years, if there were a couple times, it's been years now though, where I did have animal products and because I thought, okay, I'll test it out and see, right?
Yeah.
And I just lost that connection. And that's what I didn't
Mhm.
like the most. I just feel like it's an energy thing and I lost that connection. And I don't know, maybe some people can still have that connection. I'm sure some people out there still can, but for me, I definitely couldn't. And I know there's certain foods, so like certain spiritual seekers or those focused on a more spiritual life, there's some foods that people will avoid. And I know like onions and garlic are one of them. And I know onions and garlic do affect me and make me a little bit more angry. And kind of like they say it disconnects you a little bit because of the way it
Mhm.
affects your nervous system. And maybe it's not the case for everyone. And I still love them so much, but I've been trying to cut them lately. But is there anything you cut out for spiritual reasons? Any food or any foods in general that you avoid that you think are not so great for us as far as the raw foods go?
I would say, and I still need to do a little more experimenting with the garlic and onions because
Hmm.
I've kind of tried to experiment getting rid of them for a while in the past, but I never really stuck with it. So that is something I'm curious to test out.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, the big thing, other than the kind of the obvious, is just like the processed foods and vegan, even if it's vegan, or even if it's raw,
Hmm.
those sorts of more gourmet type things. Really for me, it's just the fatty foods, like eating too
Hmm.
much fat really kind of bogs down that connection for me. So for me, it's just hydrating fruits and vegetables. Those are really, for me, those have been the most spiritually connecting and, just enlightening foods, I suppose, is in terms of getting me back connected with myself. But yeah, so high fat foods and then just any of the gourmet
Hmm.
raw foods. I kind of keep those out.
Yeah, I keep those to a minimum. You
Yeah.
feel different when you have those. You feel more tired, more dehydrated,
Yep.
and things like that. I'm wondering, have you ever tried fruitarian or no?
So not total. I mean, I've gone like a month of only fruit.
Hmm.
I've never really taken it beyond that. Um, I've always, been a big fan of having leafy greens in my diet. So now technically, a fruitarian, or frugivore animals, they don't only eat fruit. So that's kind of
Hmm.
also what I go by. You
Hmm.
know, even the monkeys and the bonobos and chimps, they eat greens
Hmm.
too. So um yeah, so not I've never really gone down the path of completely just fruit, although yeah, I do think it does have benefits intermittently.
Hmm.
But I do personally think that a more balanced diet with greens and maybe some nuts and seeds and things like that along with the fruits is probably, from what I've seen, the most sustainable for most people.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering, like, why do you feel like you're able to make this lifestyle work? I know a lot of people struggle. They want to do it and or they feel like it doesn't work for them. So why do you feel like it works for you? Like, what do you feel like you do to make it work?
Yeah. Honestly, I would say that it doesn't really have much to do with the diet at all. I think most of what it comes down to is mindset. I just am so such a believer that our mindset is really the foundational key aspect of how we make this a long-term, sustainable thing. Obviously, you do have to have, access to, the fruits and vegetables that you need to make this lifestyle work. So if you're in a food desert, it might be a little more difficult. But
Mhm.
for those of us that do have access to the fruits and vegetables that we need, I would say mindset has been my biggest thing. An example that I've given before is, like if I were to go to I used to go to the gym. I don't always go to the gym, but when I would go to the gym, I would, they would have signs on the wall for like pizza party Fridays. So, it's like I see all these people out like just busting it to get
Yeah.
healthy, lose weight all week long. And then Friday comes along and they just start stuffing their face with pizza and
Yeah.
they even have like donuts and bagels there. I'm just like, I thought this was a gym, So it's like that I think that is a big aspect, is where the reason why for me I look at those things like the pizza or the bagels or the donuts, that doesn't even register as food for me anymore. So like
Mhm.
back in the day I would have loved those things. Now I shifted my consciousness around food and around health to a point where donuts and bagels and pizza, that's not even food. I would
Mhm.
never even consider eating that sort of thing. And so I think it's really about reconditioning the subconscious mind to really see healthy habits as, the desirable thing, whereas most people have been kind of conditioned, like I talked about earlier, with the cakes at birthday parties
Mm.
and donuts and things like that that kids get to be, as a reward. We
Mhm.
reward kids with junk foods a lot of times, and
Mhm.
that subconsciously programs them to associate, being good with those foods. So people go to the gym, they feel like they've been good, they're going to give themselves a treat, right?
Mhm.
So I think that is a big part of what keeps a lot of people stuck, or they self-sabotage themselves because of these subconscious programs they have running, even
So
if they're
true.
yeah,
Mhm.
even if their conscious mind is saying, "Hey, I want to get healthy. I want to lose 15 pounds or whatever it is," that still has to filter through their subconscious mind. And if that doesn't resonate with that subconscious programming, then it's a lot of times it's going to get put in the trash. And so
Yeah.
they'll continue to go back to these foods and wonder why they just can't make it work. Um, and so, yeah, I just really think that doing your best to, get into even just like a 5-minute meditation, daily, or, a
Mhm.
couple times a week, get into that state of mindfulness and, just reconnecting with your own thoughts and just kind of try and filter out some of um, those subconscious programs. If you can become aware of them, awareness is like the first step in changing anything. If we're not aware that we're doing something, it's going to be pretty difficult to change. So become aware of it, tap in, just try and get all the noise out of your head. Everybody
Mhm.
wakes up, they're on their phone, they get in the car, they have the radio on, music is pumping in their heads. So it's like
Mhm.
every minute of the day most people are taking in external stimuli, and it's preventing them from really tapping into their own thoughts, right? And so the quieter we can get, I think the more in tune we can get with our soul's true desires, and we can start to become aware of some of maybe the, like I had really self-critical thinking, and I would notice it. I would consciously think like, I shouldn't think about myself that way, and but I would always go back to it because I never really addressed reconditioning those thought patterns. And so the same way I reconditioned my thought patterns with just continual acts of self-love by feeding my body the correct foods that were in alignment with love, energy, and frequency. I think those are the ways to do it. And also, morning and night, I think it's really important to listen to positive, empowering messages. Like I
Mhm.
I almost religiously listened to like Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn, these sorts of motivational speakers. They didn't have anything to do with diet. They had
Mhm.
a lot to do with just your mindset. And that was a big thing for me is I went, a long time every single day. When I would wake up, I would listen to these guys for like an hour straight at least. And then I would listen to them at night before I would go to bed. And so that I think really was able to reprogram a lot of that subconscious, thought pattern that I had. And that was, just another piece of the puzzle for me and really getting to a point where I was drawn to benefiting myself rather than self-sabotaging. And
Mhm.
that just continued to, go from there.
Mhm. And you seem like you're in such a great place now. That's amazing. I wonder, like, had you not taken this path, where do you think you would be right now? I feel like you've just come so far and you're just so well-rounded, just so smart, and it really is truly working for you. So I wonder, where do you think you'd be if you didn't do this?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I don't even know. I would probably be, I was like 20, I don't know, like 15 pounds probably overweight at the time that I got into this. And I'm sure I would have just continued to add on the weight, and my asthma never would have gone away. My eczema probably would still be here. I don't know. I mean, my toxic thinking was probably the most
Mhm.
detrimental thing for me. And I would say, yeah, I mean, who knows? It's kind of scary to think about, but also empowering because I mean,
Mhm.
I hope, and that is one of the things that I really want to, be an example for people that even if you do have really self-critical thinking and just some really undesirable habits that you want to change, but you just haven't been able to, it's so possible. And once you start taking in again that good energy from the fruits and the vegetables, it really just starts to sync you up with what you truly your soul is yearning for. Essentially,
Mhm.
it's just it was just a natural thing that once I started, giving myself love, it just continued to snowball from there and it just got better. So,
Mhm. Absolutely, and I feel like that's the key to the best life. I'm reading a book right now by Wayne Dyer called
yeah,
Real Magic. Real Magic. I don't know if you've heard of it, and he talks a lot about how in order to get real miracles and magic in your life, like you truly have to be unconditionally loving and giving without thinking about all the fruits of your labor and what you're receiving and just everything. It's just making me realize like everything truly is about love. And I feel like this diet really just puts you in sync with that naturally. I mean, you still have work to do. I still have work to do, even though I eat very clean. But it just like gives you such a kickstart and just helps you so much just reach these levels that I feel like many people wouldn't have reached without it.
yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
And I'm wondering, I know you talked about weight. So like you seem like you're a great weight. And I know that's a big thing for some people. They say like I want to do the raw diet, but a lot of people say like they get too skinny. I mean, it's
Mhm.
rare you hear people say they're putting on too much weight. So I think usually it's a lot of people worry about losing too much weight. So how have you managed to maintain a healthy weight? And do you have any advice for anyone out there who maybe wants to keep up like a healthy weight on this lifestyle?
Yeah, so I think in my early days, I look back at some of my old videos. I was pretty underweight. So even years into it, but
Mhm.
again, I was doing a lot of fasting and things like this. So it was always kind of like a paradox where I wanted to because for me, fasting and things like that are more of a spiritual thing. I do it for health reasons, but also it's really a spiritual thing for me. um, and so, that was kind of a thing that I was dealing with is how much fasting can I do while still promoting this diet and look healthy.
Mhm.
So, I would say in order to have a healthy weight on this lifestyle, kind of, just the basics, you just want to make sure you're eating enough. For me, so my kind of daily meal plan or daily meal design is I call it SFS. It's smoothie, fruit, salad. So I have a big smoothie in the morning. It's like 10 bananas, it's like frozen mango, blueberries, things like that. A little bit of flaxseed. Um, and I have that. So that's like already, like 1,000 calories right there. Not that I think we need to count calories or anything like that, but using a website like Chronometer can be very helpful in the beginning to kind of just see where you're at in a general sense. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but it does give you a good idea to see just how many kind of calories you're eating, and then you can adjust from there if you need to. But yeah, I really, to achieve a healthy weight, it's really about eating enough and exercising. A lot of people,
Mhm.
getting into this lifestyle, want to be fit and trim and muscular. And in my experience, it's really just about consistency. I've always been into like not really going to the gym, but doing a lot of push-ups and pull-ups and things like that. And so that's still really my foundation of exercise at home, anyways, other than going out hiking and things like that. But yeah, exercise. Most days, doesn't have to be every day, but most days, I would say, sweating is a great thing to do as much as you can. And yeah, just make sure you get enough calories in. I mean,
Mhm.
that's as simple as it gets, really, in my opinion. There are certain situations where people might have some trouble, with their GI tract. So if you need to heal your GI tract, work
Mhm.
on that first, and then you can start, bringing in a lot more of the food to start building back up. And yeah, that's been my experience.
Amazing. And I'm wondering, how has this lifestyle affected you socially? So, did it change a lot of the relationships in your life? And how do you manage it in a world where most people do not eat this way and do not eat like us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it has changed, quite a bit of my relationships. Not in a bad way.
Mhm.
I have changed the people that I hang out with. I still consider myself friends with my friends that I used to hang out with quite a bit. But they still like to go to the bars and drink and party and all these sorts of things. And
Mhm.
it really just kind of didn't mesh with my what I was trying to achieve with my health and with spiritually and just overall everything. So I just kind of gradually stopped going out with them. I wasn't rude about it or anything. So I think people that struggle with relationships, I think it's important to have you know compassion and
Mhm.
understanding of where people are at, because I think we all used to be in different situations where we used to live different lifestyles, obviously, and we weren't always this
Mhm.
way thinking the way we think now. So not everybody's going to be on our same level. So I think it's important to find community, whether it's online, Facebook and
Mhm.
things like that have been big for me, especially in the beginning, for building new relationships with health conscious people. Um, and then honestly, so I went to a 3 week raw food chef course in Atlanta. And then I went to like a week long
Wow.
certification course in Florida for detox specialist with Dr. Morse. And those two experiences were truly some of the most life changing experiences I've ever had. Just the connection that you have with people that are on the same vibe with you, and it's like magical. Honestly, that's like the best word I can think of. And so finding people, and there's a lot of meetups that you might not even be aware of. You can find those online. Just look up like either a fruit luck or raw food meetup or vegan meetup
Mhm.
in your area. You can find people there. And yeah, just have understanding for the people from your previous lifestyle, and you don't even always have to disassociate with them. You can still hang out with people that don't live the same way that you live. It's just up to each person on who what energy they want in their life. And
Mhm.
if the energy feels good to you from whatever person, then I think that's a great relationship to have. If they're supportive and they inspire you, and they make you want to be better, regardless of what their lifestyle is, I think that's a great type of relationship to have with somebody. But yeah, finding people to connect with online or in your communities that are on the same page as you, I think is really important for, enjoying this lifestyle. I know a lot of people get discouraged. They don't enjoy being the singled one out.
Mhm.
So building your circle of people is a key thing, I think, for enjoying the lifestyle and just for inspiration and education, learning from each other,
Mhm.
and that sort of thing.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I'm just wondering also, have you experienced any negative symptoms over the years? I know some people complain of dental issues. I don't have any cavities. Like I've had no negative symptoms so far going into 6 years. But I'm wondering if you experienced any negatives and also like have you experienced any challenges as well on the lifestyle?
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I haven't had any cavities or anything. I put up my dental X-rays and everything on after I think it was after like 6 or 7 years of being on this diet,
Mhm.
because there was so many people out there telling me that like even if I didn't notice any cavities, my teeth were gonna rot from the inside because I wasn't getting all those healthy fats. So,
Mhm.
so I made sure to get the X-rays from my dentist and I put those online so I could prove those people wrong. And so, yeah, no, my dental health has been amazing. Actually, it's my dental health used to be awful before. I
Me
used to
too.
have
Yeah. Wow.
gingivitis. I used to get canker sores and sores in my mouth all the time. My gums would bleed, and now I don't have any of that. It's like I might get a canker sore like super rarely, anymore. So it's incredible because I used to, like I said, get them all the time. Like
Mhm.
it seemed like it was constant. Um, and the only challenge, I guess I would say, not necessarily a challenge, but something that I noticed with, so I did blood work after 7 and 8 years,
Mhm.
and the only thing that I had issues with was B12. So my B12 was extremely low. It was like I think it was like 80 or 90, and
Yeah, I
the
checked mine once a few years ago when I wasn't supplementing at all yet. So it was like
yeah,
2 years. I think it was 2 years into being raw vegan and it was 92, which was low too. So
right,
now
yeah,
it's been fine since I supplement though. So were you
right.
supplementing and it was low or you weren't supplementing?
No, I went 7 years. Because a big thing in the community that I was following, they were saying that when you clean out your body and get your adrenals working correctly and your GI tract is in good shape, that your body should be able to, facilitate enough B12 that it needs.
Mhm.
Um, but so then I just went like 7 years without supplementing anything.
Mhm.
And so then I tested my blood work, and yeah, I was at like 90 or 80 or something like that, and the low range was 150. So I
Mhm.
was like, all right, I should even though I didn't recognize any symptoms or anything like that, I still didn't really want to play around with that to the
Mhm.
maybe I would. I don't know. So, but yeah, that's the main thing that I've noticed in all this time for things that I've had to really kind of changed my thinking on. I guess I mean I've changed my thinking on several things, but that was the most like tangible thing that I could show people that supplementing might be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering what would you say are your 3 favorite reasons for living this lifestyle, for eating a raw vegan diet?
Ooh, my three favorite reasons. All right. Well, first of all, I would say for sure energy levels.
Mhm.
Um, just having the ability to wake up in the morning, and be clear headed, and just want to go out and play. Essentially, it's like you just get inspired to just do things that kids like to do. Essentially,
Mhm.
so like you kind of lose a little bit of that hardening of the adulthood that we get, and you kind of get
Mhm.
more to the fun stuff as much as you can. So that's one thing is definitely energy levels, and just I guess two would be mindset. Such a healthy mindset makes such a difference in your life, and so that's one thing again that I see holding most people back is mindset. Even if they switched over this lifestyle, they a lot of times they carry over old thought
Mhm.
patterns and things like that. So for me, that's been one of the most just rewarding aspects of this is just the way that I feel about myself and the way that I feel about life. That's a big change for me. And then three, I would say fruit. I mean, fruit
Mhm.
is so delicious and amazing. There's so many fruits that I never tried. I never even knew existed until I got into this lifestyle. Like, I don't think I ever had a date
Mhm.
or a
Me
mango.
too. Yeah,
Honestly,
me
I don't think
too.
I had a mango.
Yeah.
Like some of these foods that I eat all the time now, it's like I didn't even really know that they. I mean, I probably knew about them, but I never ate them. And yeah, so I just remember being a kid and loving like when my mom would have like cut up cantaloupe and watermelon in the fridge. I would just like eat the whole thing. And yeah, so now it's just like I get to eat the most delicious foods and they make me feel amazing. And yeah, it's just it's one of the best things that I could ask for, and from what I've received from this lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering your thoughts on the dried fruits, like dates and stuff like that. Do you think people need to keep those like to a minimum? I think they're harder to digest, and that's how some people lead to some dental problems and things like that if they get like crazy carried away with the dried fruits.
Yeah.
But they are delicious and they're great now and then. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would say, dried fruits are more of like a here and there thing. If you're traveling or something, I think they're
Hmm.
nice to have.
Hmm.
But definitely, if you are going to eat them, yeah, get the residue off your teeth.
Hmm.
Swish with water, or even just eat a juicy piece of fruit that can kind of wash that off. Um,
Good
yeah,
idea.
yeah, I don't eat a whole lot of dried fruits. The dates that I get, I don't know that I consider them dried. I mean, they're pretty juicy. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I guess they're probably a little dried, but usually I don't eat dates straight. I usually put them in a smoothie or put them in a dressing,
Hmm.
so they're blended up. So yeah, that's one way that if people do want to eat dates or other dried fruits, blending them into something like a smoothie or something is a good way to go. Because yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Just eating them straight can probably lead to some dental issues.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, what's your favorite recipe?
Oh man, so I this is actually one of the most recent recipes that I've made myself. I had never up until this point made a raw lasagna,
Wow.
and yeah, it's so simple and it's like the most delicious recipe that I think I've ever made. Honestly, it's so good. I mean, there's a few others that I really like, but that's the one that just surprised me the most because it's just like it's so. I got this little tool from my friend Sherry, and it's called the Vasta. So
Yeah.
it like peels the zucchini lengthwise, so it makes big strips like sheets,
Yeah.
um, like a lasagna sheet.
My mom
And
bought me one of those. Yeah.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I just tried that out and it's like I was expecting it to just taste like raw vegetables, like, nothing special. But it was honestly super satisfying and it really tasted like lasagna. And yeah, so that's kind of right now my favorite one.
Wow. I have to try that. Do you have a video recipe I can link below?
So I was on Chef AJ and I did the recipe there. So
Okay.
yeah. Um
I'll try find hers and link hers. I'm friends with her. Yeah, that's great. That's
okay, cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, so do you do mindset coaching? Because I feel like you'd be so good at that. I think you do, right?
Well, I do just general coaching.
Hmm.
Whatever people have, they want to work on, I'll help them out the best I can. So yeah, whether it's diet or mindset or any lifestyle, I'm offering coaching sessions, so they can just go to my website to check that out.
Okay, amazing. And where can the people find you? What is your website? And then your channel is Raw Intuition, right?
Yeah, Raw Intuition on YouTube and Instagram, and then my website is myrawintuition.com.
Okay, great. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sure my viewers will love it. And I'm just wondering, do you have any words to end off? Maybe some inspiration for somebody looking to live a healthier lifestyle? Maybe they're struggling right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, first of all, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
talking to you as well. The thing that I like to leave people with is just my concept of the three P's. And so, any lifestyle change that people are going to make, I always encourage them to approach it using the three P's. The first P is practicality. So you want to be practical with whatever you're going to do. So I see like a lot of people trying to replicate their their favorite YouTuber, or somebody living in
Mm,
Costa Rica or Florida. But the availability of fruit might not be the same where they live, and so making it a practical lifestyle for you and using what's available in your area is really important, to not try and just replicate somebody else what's working for them, because
mhm,
we all have different circumstances. Two is to be patient. People want to just have results immediately. A lot of times it's going to take quite a bit of time to realize all the benefits that you're looking for. And so don't expect everything to happen overnight. Give yourself the patience and the compassion to go through this as a marathon, not as a sprint, as they say. And yeah, just understand that patience is a really important part of this. And then lastly is to be persistent. So
mhm.
persistence, if things don't go perfectly, today or tomorrow, use it as a learning opportunity and move forward with a better understanding of how you can do it differently. And yeah, just those are the three things that I think could benefit everybody that are trying to get into this lifestyle and make it a healthy and sustainable effort.
Absolutely. Great points. And we didn't really talk about how to do this in a cold climate. And it's cold where you are, right? I believe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It
Yeah.
just started getting warm here.
So same with here in Toronto. I was thinking I should have you back in the fall. I would love to. And we'll talk about how to do the raw lifestyle in a cold climate.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So make sure you guys subscribe for that. And I hope you guys, the viewers, have enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Matt. And I will again link all this stuff below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.